then it's hot in here. Let's get the board back in. Hey guys, I'm Bo Lorentzen, and as always, of course, if you're interested in sailing and sailing related videos, you should click subscribe. That said, my espresso maker has died, which, as we all know, is a terrible situation in a guy's life. And it was one of those full automatic ones where you put the cup in, push the button, it goes bzzz, and out comes coffee. It turns out the moisture on a boat is not necessarily a great mix. After I have looked around and knowing how the other ones failed, I have decided to try a Nivona. More exactly, a Nivona CUBE. So I'm going to show it to you, and we're going to install it and give it a quick test brew, because coffee is where it's at. So hang on, let's start with the important part. Here. All the usual stuff. Manual. This one is actually like 15 millimeters or maybe about ½ inch thick, which is a surprising size for a manual. The chalking. We're not going to need any of this right now. Oh, and it comes with a filter. And we're going to put this here. There. So, this is the Nivona CUBE. One of the great things that I loved about it, of course, is the size. Look at this. It is, I believe it's 21 by 21. It looks a little bit, bit larger, but importantly, you can see my hand right here. It's actually not that big, and it's square, and it's taller than it is wide. And here is the coffee scoop implement, or coffee basket implement. And let me, so that goes in here. Up here, we have the water. And on the other side, and down in the bottom here, down here, that is the grinder. And here is, on the side, is the grind settings right here. And that is like this, and like this. And we're gonna, what happened with my other coffee machine was that the moisture started giving problems with the power supply, but also I started having problems with the system. And the way the system works is it grinds into this piston, and after it's full, it moves it up position, it rotates, and then it extends exactly like this one does. See how this comes in and out? There. So it extends the piston up and compresses the coffee. Then it goes back down, sends the coffee out, and then it tilts further over and kicks out the puck. Until I took this other one apart, I never understood how those suckers worked. Now I do. Okay, so what they have done here is really interesting. They have taken apart, so here's the coffee maker, or the grinder. It's a separate half of the device. On the other side over here is the water supply and the brew head that goes into the basket. So you put it in over here on the grinder side, you push grind. After it finishes, you take this out, you put it over here, you put it over here. And after you put it in, then you push this handle back down again. It pushes the top of the brew head into the basket, I guess. Now, you're basically ready. You push, make the coffee. Once you're done, it comes up, this comes out, and you twist this to eject the puck, and you're ready to go again. So what they have done is they've taken all the moving parts out of it, and we have the grinder and the coffee maker left. I think that's a pretty cool setup. We'll see if that actually works well on the boat. The other thing that's going to work well on the boat is Oh, this won't do like that until I do like that. Ah, they made it so you cannot mess with yourself. The other thing that works well on the boat is that it's very compact. So I have a bag of espresso beans from up in town. I have bottled water. And I think we should make an espresso. Okay, well, so this works pretty good. It is easy to carry, mostly because you can get under it here, but you've got to be careful with moving parts. And it might just mean something else, like settings for, what do I know? So, here, the lid comes off, and they have little tabs on the bottom, so I'm guessing they only go down one way. From Wohlenberg, espresso beans. They're pack number 205 espresso bean. I learned here, so we put some of that in here. There. To help people like me that forget stuff, the brew size is actually marked in the lid here, so we want the 1 bar, but we want the longer bar to get more coffee grind, and we want only just 1 bar for a brew size. Oh, it has that edge there, the sign. I was trying to align these up to each other. That didn't work. Now watch this. So when I put this back in, it switches to tell me about coffee beans, and we want more beans. Yeah, plus, because that looks good there, and we are going for the most, and I tap. Okay. Oh, that was much better. That looks pretty nice. Okay, so that comes in here, and I'm gonna use this one now to plunger that down, and look at that. Let's make the smaller cup size, because espresso cup, we're gonna put that in here, and let's click on. Woohoo! Well, that did not at all go as I had hoped. I should have done a time lapse, because as you probably got the idea it did not brew the first couple of times. And some of my grind settings were simply too fine, and then what happens is it goes and eventually it just says it times out or was not able to push it through, so it gives you an error message on top. And now I figured the amount of grind and the brew time and the grind time out. So that has become a fairly good cup of coffee. It sat for a couple of minutes. That was a nice creamer on top. About the machine, I started out with another do-it-all espresso maker, but it didn't work so well on the boat. This one has solved most of those problems, being here's only the water and here is the grinder. So that works really good. It is not the strongest machine, and I'm gonna come out and say, if you are used to using a manual machine, for instance, you're gonna find this does not have the same horsepower. I don't know what pressure it brews at, but it is probably not 9 bar. That would be my guess. That said, it was this or an espresso machine. And as you know, the espresso machine uses much less coffee per shot. And this has a much more satisfying cup of coffee than I have gotten from a Nespresso machine. So that is perfectly good. And I guess it is reasonable to realize that it's never gonna be a manual high-end espresso maker. It's not. But being 21 centimeters by 21 centimeters is an incredibly small footprint for a boat space like my kitchen here. There is really not very much space in my kitchen. So I would actually come out and say I recommend this. And I have a clip here of the puck that comes out from this one here. I just want you to see that how it comes out, and it then gets emptied into the dumpster, of course. That's one of the nice things about this machine. There is nothing wet left in the machine. There's no wet material in here or in here. So that is a nice thing. I wish I could program, because after you push the handle down, when you press the button to proceed, it lowers itself further into the cup to tamp it. And I wish I could program the amount of tamp. That would be very nice, but you can't. There's also some people online said that they found a setting to adjust and give it yet a bit more grind. I have not been able to find that. And I find that to get a good flavor, you actually have to reduce the grind time so you don't get quite as much coffee, but a little bit finer in order to avoid a sourness. So if you do get a sour cup of coffee, you typically want a little bit finer, a slower extraction. But you cannot get that if you have a full bin here, because finer, it cannot press through if it gets too fine. So in order to get around that, we took 1 bar off the grind time and got a little bit finer, and that really made for an excellent cup of coffee. Instead of capsules, we are simply just using regular espresso beans poured in up here. And I do feel, with my experience here, I'm using the one bean I had. That is an espresso bean. But there is definitely room to play with the beans, and this machine is gonna play nicer with some espresso beans than other espresso beans. So that's probably where one needs to start looking to really optimize the experience. But I have managed to get a really nice creamy shot out of it. Thank you for watching. We're gonna try to get some more boat videos. In a couple of days, I'm moving the boat down to a different place. So let's try to get some more boat videos. Also, make sure to click subscribe if you have gotten this far. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy your coffee. This was good.